Hello and welcome, friends. We're back again with episode 15. Can you believe? Well, I am glad you're here. On your way in, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and if you're feeling particularly bold, please share this with a friend or a community that you think might enjoy this tale. It is greatly appreciated. Previously, our heroes rescued Gertruda from Castle Ravenloft and climbed down the outer wall and made a break to the front gate. Just as a reminder, this campaign is not for children. It's horror by nature, so some scenes may be cause for some distress. Viewers' discretion is advised if you're watching or listening around younger ears. Let us enter Barovia once again, descending into the mist that borders their land, into the storm around Castle Ravenloft, to the rain-drenched courtyard, where Marina, Ismark, Dendor, and Astrid usher Gertruda across the flooded flagstones, splashing and slipping as they go. Let's see here. Let's set that off to the side. Let's go ahead and open this up. Ooh, it's a little washed out there. Looks like I might have to turn down this light real quick. I think that's a little bit better. Alright, so our heroes exited the castle, kind of near this area. They climbed down a rope, and they're making their way around the courtyard and out through J. We'll just set this to the side as our heroes exit out onto the path. They grab their horses, mount up. They have an extra horse now that Sidaros is dead in the castle. Rest in peace, Sidaros. And our heroes are going to basically gallop as fast as they can along this path, essentially until we get to the crossroads. And last time they came this way, we did, I believe, 2 checks here to see if there was a random encounter. We'll do 2 checks this time. A 2 and a 9, that is not enough to be a random encounter. That needs to be an 18 or higher. So our heroes are uncontested as they run. Now they get to this crossroad here, and they turn to go south, but my question is, does Gertruda want to go back to the village of Barovia? Because she was essentially on house arrest by her mother, Mary, in their home. And on top of that, the village of Barovia has had a tough time lately. And Gertruda's kind of on the cusp of being able to kind of leave her home and kind of start generating her own life or constructing her own life. And so my question is, does she want to go back home? Or is there another option that that she wants to take? An 18 is yes. I guess my question wasn't super clear, was it? So the question is, does she want to go back home? I rolled at disadvantage because I think it's likely a no. Well, there's a lot of things that can happen along the way. She's still not quite at that age to leave home, but she is almost there. So I'm going to say yes, she wants a different option. So as the heroes start to turn toward the south here, she slows down, and Ismark calls out to the group so they all kind of rein in their horses a little bit to discuss things at this crossroad. Ismark says, why are you stopping, Gertruda? We need to get you home. And Gertruda says, Barovia is not doing so well. I do not know if I do not wish to go back home. But I am torn. Astrid looks nervously back down the path toward the castle, and then back at the group. And Marina says, we must make a decision soon. I'm not sure how long we'll have before her absence is missed. We could have vampires directly behind us as we speak. Astrid nods once and says, we can take her back to Vallaki. We could take her back. Dendor grumbles. Yes, we could bring Gertruda back to Vallaki with us, and perhaps send a message or a note to her mother to let her know that she's safe. One thing's for certain, what we saw in the village of Barovia, it is indeed not exactly a place of safety or comfort for the people there. Ismark looks around, kind of nervously. He has a hand on his crossguard for his sword. And Astrid says, how does this sound? We take you to where we're staying in Vallaki, and we'll see if we can't hire somebody to send a message in the morning to your mother in the village. She'll at least know that you're safe. Gertruda, wrapped in this kind of very fancy cloak that they stole from the closet in Castle Ravenloft, is otherwise in just a nightgown and like a single slipper, basically. She shivers slightly, and probably not from the cold or the rain or anything. It's probably more of this kind of uncertainty as she's entering the wider world with these strangers, basically. And she looks down south once, or for just a few seconds, and then says, yes, I believe it's time to go to Vallaki. And our party turns to the north, and now that they're kind of a little bit further away from the castle, they take their horses at more of a leisurely pace now. Still kind of pushing them a little bit, maybe at a trot. They're not just out for like a Sunday stroll, but they can't gallop the entire way to Vallaki. So they're going to keep their horses rested, especially in this road. As they get further away from Castle Ravenloft, the storm lights up a little bit, but the rain still kind of drizzles down, and the road itself, while it has patches of cobblestone, is very unkept. And so there's like a lot of puddles, patches of mud that can get quite deep. And so they kind of take their horses easily. Now, they last time they came down this path, we had a random encounter, basically how Shadowdark movement works compared to the map in Curse of Strahd. Essentially, the group would be rolling a random encounter every 1.5 hexes. So instead of doing 30 rolls between the gate and Velaki, I'm just going to say they do encounter something. And we'll roll some dice to see, we'll roll a D percentile to see at what point along the journey it is. Kind of like 0 to 100 in completeness. Let's see, we got a 69. So as they continue their journey and wrap around, they kind of have that encounter with that druid, basically, kind of right around that same area. And we'll roll our encounter. Let's see, a 7. Let's see, where are the encounters at? Here we are. A 7 is, so it's kind of, it's probably getting on toward the evening. So we'll use, well, I don't know. It's kind of the day is kind of rough. Maybe we'll just use the, let's see here. Trying to think here. We'll use the nighttime encounter, which is, let's see, we're gonna go, is it the druid is my question, I guess, because that would be an interesting concept. Let's see if it is actually the druid. Let's see here. A 7, no, but, so maybe not the druid, but it is the twig blights maybe that they encountered previously. So the remaining twig blights there, I rolled 2d6 for 7 twig blights. So they kind of scoot around, and that previous druid that they encountered, they injured pretty well. They actually almost killed him, if I remember right. And so maybe he's not there. He's licking his wound, but he sends his twig blights into the area. And so our party, as they come around the bend and are marching along, they see all of these twig blights curling out of the forest at them. Ismark's at 2 hit points. I don't think they're going to fight. So let's see initiative first. And I think it's going to be fairly clean. Is there a chance for surprise? I think there is. Let's see. We'll call it a wisdom check for the party. They get a 15, which beats the normal DC of 12 that we're using as our kind of benchmark. So there is no surprise. So let's roll initiative and see what happens. We got our purple party dice and our red villain dice. The villains get a 6, so and our party gets a 3. So that means that the twig blights will attack as they kind of surge out. So let's see who we got here. Irina is not here with them. So we have Astrid, Dendor, Marina, and Ismark. There was 7 twig blights. Let's roll a d4 and see how many get within range before the party moves. 2 of them get into within range. Okay. And we're going to say that Marina and Ismark are probably up front. We probably have Gertruda in the middle. And let's see. And so I think the 2 attacks will probably be at Marina and Ismark. So we'll roll 2 dice. Odds are Marina, evens are Ismark. An odd and even, so 1 for each of them. And they'll probably be at their horses. The twig blights are pretty short. Alright, so 2 17s. Wow, the curse of the double numbers continues. Alright, so these twig blights, they take their, they come charging out of the forest, they swipe at the horses. One gets 2 damage, and the other one gets 1 damage. I'm gonna note that down. So they come charging down out of the woods, slashing at the horses. The horses rear up, and the party, I think, will just gallop away, essentially. Ismark's injured. Dendor and Astrid are out of healing spells. They just need to get to safety, so they're just going to charge ahead. Basically, they rested their horses, kind of, with the trot, and they're going to gallop the rest of the way to Vallaki. So, at which they easily outpace the twig blights. Twig blights are very small, they're going to be moving very slowly. So, our party gets to Vallaki just as the sun is setting, and those guards with their masks, their smiling harlequin masks, they are in the process of getting ready to close the gate as the party thunders up. And the guards hold up a hand and say, well, will the guards try to stop them? They're kind of like right on the cusp. Will the guards try to stop them? Yes. So the guards stop, like hold up their hands. One of them kind of gets this pike ready and like kind of stands in the road and props it against the ground to aim it at the horses, essentially, threatening them if they try to gallop past, basically. And one of the guards steps forward. I'm afraid you have come too late. We are closing the gate. You are not allowed in. Which would be quite deadly for our friends, I think. So Astrid will step forward and say, please, we came as quick as we could. We knew that it was going to be difficult to get here by sunset, but we have an injured parties and a young woman with us. As she gestures behind her to Gertruda and Ismark and everything. So she's going to make a charisma check. We'll see how this goes. A 10 plus 1 is an 11. That's just shy of our 12. I think I'll go ahead and spend a luck token. We'll see if we can beat it. It's kind of 50-50. Whoops. Don't drop the dice. Let's see if we can beat it. Ooh, a 4 is not better. Alright, so the guards say, no, you are not allowed inside. And they begin to close the gate. So, what does our party do now as the gate begins to close in front of them and safety seems to be cut off? I think what they'll do is they will, in a rush, they kind of look at the sun setting, and in a rush, I think they'll kind of go around Vallaki. Let me grab the map of Vallaki. Maybe they'll try one of the other gates. So, we got our map of Vallaki here. I can close this for a minute. We have our map of Vallaki. They're stopped at the this gate here near, toward the east. So what they're going to do is they're going to follow the wall, basically. And they're going to go ahead and go to the northern gate, the lake gate. So they'll kind of follow along here, the wall, go to the northern gate, and they'll try their luck there, kind of in desperation. They're soaked, injured. Let's see what we can do. So, once again, will the guards try to stop them? They're kind of a little bit further along, so I'm going to probably give this like a -1 modifier, maybe, on the yes-no oracle. I don't want to roll with disadvantage just yet. If this fails, I think he'll be rolling with disadvantage here, and then we're kind of, you know, out of luck, basically. So we'll say like maybe a -2 on this guy. So 10, which I rolled a 12. So do they try to stop them? I rolled a 12. That would have been a yes. -2 is a 10, which is a twist. Haven't seen a twist in a minute. Break out our handy Solodark home printed edition. And let's go ahead and roll a couple of prompts. Let's see what's going on at this gate. So we have a 9, which is imbue. Okay, that's an interesting word. Imbue, and one more. And an 18. Imbue journey. What does that even mean? Let me look up the word imbue. Let me see if we can find any kind of hidden meanings there. Let's see. Define imbue. Inspire or permeate with a feeling. So they're inspiring the journey, permeating. They're let's see. Similar are permeate, saturate, diffuse, suffuse, pervade. All right, so our party gets up to the gate, tired. The horses are exhausted. Their breath is steaming in the air, and our heroes get up to the gate, and imbue journey. Let's see. So they're actually, let's see. They're going to. I like this. Suffuse, infuse, ingrain. Okay. So I think what they come up around here to meet is maybe some fishermen that are coming from Lake Zarovich, and they're coming back into the gate for the night. So they just kind of tag along on the end of the group with their horses, and they enter Vallaki that way, basically. Like they're gonna try to disguise themselves, maybe as like fishermen, or maybe pull up their hoods. I'm just trying to think here, like how that would work out. Like basically, this gate is still processing people, so this gate processes fishermen through, you know, doing their mirror method. They're using a mirror to make sure people have a reflection, and our heroes, it comes to their turn, and trying not to appear too desperate, they enter. They kind of come up to the guards, and the guards say, "You're not fishermen." So will they throw a stink at this? They're kind of already kind of here, and it's not like too big of a problem. So I'm going to say no, they're not going to throw a stink at. They're just going to give him a hard time. Astrid will say, "No, we're not fishermen. We're just travelers. We're just we're actually staying at the Blue Water Inn, and just returning from a journey to gather Ismark's niece." And she gestures over to Gertruda. Ismark raises an eyebrow, but then nods and steps forward and says, "Indeed, we came from the village Barovia, not, you know, our sister village. She was interested in seeing Vallaki. We had kind of a late start, and so we wanted to get here as soon as we could, and we knew we were pressing it, so please, I would appreciate if you would allow us entry." So the guards will do their check and let the group in. Just as the sun finishes setting, the guards close the gate, and the sounds of Vallaki can be heard throughout. You can hear all of the the instruments, the music, the singing, all of that. And our heroes will head down to the inn, I think. Let's go ahead and open up to Vallaki. Just so that we can have this available to us. Let's see, the Blue Water Inn is where they're staying. So our heroes will enter Vallaki, head down the road, and they will get to the Blue Water Inn. My question is, the group has been gone the entirety of the day, so where should we... Yes, so we'll get to the Blue Water Inn, and then let's rewind that 16 hours or so to Irina. I think it would be interesting to see Irina's perspective. So let's go ahead and rewind to Irina's perspective. Our group says goodbye. Irina says to Ismark, make sure you return. And the party leaves, leaving Irina there. And she kind of watches them from the front porch for a while. And let's see if we can find these NPCs. Let's see. There's Erwin and Danica and Brahm and Bray. So our party heads off. Sidaros promises to bring Ismark home safely, and the group heads off to Castle Ravenloft to go find Gertruda. So Irina is left alone at the Blue Water Inn. As our heroes are adventuring around Castle Ravenloft, Irina watches from the porch and watches them kind of disappear from view into the crowd. The music starts playing pretty early on in the day as people are trying to celebrate, but with it being early, the music mostly sounds quite sad, as people are kind of forced to be in this kind of happy state. And out walks Danica, the innkeeper's wife. And she goes to start sweeping kind of the front step. And she says, "I'm getting a early start, are you?" Irina will kind of glance over and then looks back at the road, and she kind of wraps a shawl closer around herself. And she says, "Oh, not me, my brother. He has a business in Barovia." And Danica nods. And quite the party to have business in Barovia, is it not? She's making conversation, but you know, everybody has secrets in Barovia. So let's see. Irina says, "Yes, it is quite the party, but you know, the roads can be dangerous at the best of times. It is good to have a guard to go with you." Danica responds with, "Of course. And allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Danica, the one of the owners of this Blue Water Inn. I appreciate your staying with us. You're here for quite some time, no? Indeed we are, Irina responds. Hopefully we are not intruding too much. And Danica kind of bows at the waist and says, of course not. If you need anything, please let us know. We're more than happy to accommodate. And Irina will nod once, and then she says, perhaps it would be wise to get some more sleep. And Irina will head back up to their room. And as she's kind of on the balcony, she kind of walks up these outer steps, enters the inn on this outer balcony, and looks down at the crowd that's gathered for, breakfast and whatnot. And she sees that one individual looking up at them once again. Just kind of this older looking man. He's got his hood kind of pulled up. And he looks up at her as Irina walks across the balcony. Does Irina notice? We'll do what is her wisdom? 11. So, does Irina notice? A 16. That beats our 12, our standard 12. So, yes, Irina looks down and makes eye contact with the man. Let's see here. And she sees this individual looking up. He's dressed pretty colorfully, and he's kind of plucking at this lute, essentially, as he looks up at her. And he nods his head to her just once, and Irina will turn back and enter her room, where she'll stay for a little bit longer. She'll sleep. Does the sleep come easy, or is it interrupted? Does the sleep come easy? I'm going to say no, but we're going to roll at disadvantage. A 5. No, but. So she does get to sleep, but she has nightmares. Kind of tossing and turning. She kind of has this... Well, let's see what the nightmares might be about, actually. I got some ideas, but let's go ahead and roll on the prompt table again. We might as well utilize that one more time and see what these nightmares are about. A 16 combine. And 42. Combine balance. Combine balance. Okay. So she has this dream where she's sitting at a table, and at one end is Ismark, and at the other end is Count Strahd. And there she is at the exact center of the table, basically, and she looks from one to the other, and both of them invoke these feelings within her. She looks at her brother, and she has that, familial love, the appreciation for strong family bonds as she looks at him, appreciates him being the strong brother that helped defend her in the village of Barovia during Strahd's attacks. And then she looks at Strahd, and there she has this fear. And also, because she was bit by Strahd twice, there's also a certain level of perhaps magically induced, perhaps, this desire to go to him as if she's being called. And as she's sitting there, the table shrinks and the two people grow closer and closer. And as she looks, the love for her brother grows. And as she looks to Strahd, the desire to go to him also grows as this table seems to shrink and draw in toward her, and she wakes up, sweating profusely. She looks around the room. The curtains are half drawn, so there's kind of these shadows, and she looks up and sees like a humanoid kind of shadow near her wardrobe, and so she flings herself out of bed, kind of stumbling, and grabs one of the curtains and yanks it open to let in more sunlight. She can see kind of rain pattering the window pane, and she turns back to the shadow, and she sees this, just her cloak that's been hung on a peg by the door. Her heart beating wildly, she calms down slowly and opens the window to let the cool air kind of rush past her skin, immediately getting goosebumps as she breathes in the smell of the rain and the mud, and hears the music playing. It seems to be that the music does actually kind of pick up a little bit, as if it's a little bit happier. People are less tired now. And she looks out the window, takes a few moments to, calm herself, and she'll reclose the window, get ready for the day. She puts on her cloak, and she'll step out into the muddy street. And I think we'll leave it there for now. Join me again next time for following along Irina's solo journey into Vallaki. We'll see what she encounters there during the day while the rest of our heroes are wrapping up everything at Castle Ravenloft. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Good luck out there.